Hi everyone, and today we are talking about the YC Onion camera cages. Alright, so what I have here is the R5, R6 cage called the Shade. So we first take a look at the top. What you have here is some screw holes here, 1/4 inches, for an optional handle. And on the left is an integrated cold shoe with a slope. On the right is actually empty, which I like very much because it has unobstructed access. Do take note that there's a small bit of blockage to the LCD here for the R5 users. R6 will not have this issue. Looking at the front, it actually hugs the middle very tightly, and it's very streamlined. It's actually a unibody cage with silver and black trimming. On the left, you will see one airy mount here on the top, followed by a few 1/4 inches. So this would allow you to mount an additional handle quite easily. You can also mount an optional accessory where you can have a clamp for the HDMI and USB cables. On the right, you will also see a similar airy mount as well as some 1/4 inches. What I also want to highlight is that you can still put some lanyards or your original strap here. At the bottom, this portion is unobstructed, so you can access the battery very easily. And over here is a number of mounting points as well as this magnetically attached tool. So let's take a look at practically rigging it. If I want to shoot video on an R5, I would usually rig a Ninja V or a normal monitor. So I'm gonna mount it here in the middle. And I would sometimes put a wireless microphone like this one. So this is a very easy setup, and the mic just goes here. But there are also times where I want to mount a shotgun mic, and you will notice that I have a bit of difficulty doing this, but well, all you have to do is put the microphone first and then put this. However, I want to say that if you have a longer microphone like the Rode NPG video mic, you will have an issue with this setup. It cannot fit. And in this case, I'm using a D4 Mini. I can also find a way to hook this to another cold shoe. I probably have to mount it another cold shoe here, where I can plug in my wireless mic into the D4 Mini. Okay, so this is a situation whereby there's just not enough cold shoes, just two. Okay, so what if you want a handle? Well, good news is they do have an original handle which you can mount via the 1/4 inch here. But other than that, you can also have the option to mount another cold shoe here, another accessory. So with that accessory, I would have solved my issue of having two microphones together at the same time. So I can mount one here, the shotgun here, and the monitor here. The other thing to take note is that for those of you who are using EF lens, alright, the good news is this adapter fits very well. You have no issues, and I even have the one with the ND. Alright, so I can change the ND, so this can fit as well. But the problem is, once you mount it, you cannot change the filter here. So I have a clear filter. Sometimes I want to go outdoor and I want to mount a VND. I will have to take the trouble to unscrew this, dismount this whole adapter, change it, and then remount it back. So that is the main drawback of this design, which is very close because of this two portions. Other than that, I'll say this is a very tightly designed cage that looks quite pretty as well. Oh yes, one more thing. At the back here, there is a anti-rotation screws. So there are two screws here. So the other thing that I demand of all my cages is that they cannot spin, rotate. Okay, so it's very firmly attached. Yeah, so that's about it for the Shade. Okay, so now we look at the A7SIII cage called the Blade. Now the design language on this one is a little different, okay? You can see that it comes with a red trimming instead of silver. What's interesting, okay, is that the top here actually has 2 additional cold shoe, so you can have up to 3. But first thing I want to say is that this area, the red trimming, you can actually remove this if you don't like it. For some people, this gets in the way, especially if you have bigger fingers. For me, I don't have an issue pressing the record button, but I have an issue changing the modes. It's a little more difficult because you have to squeeze your fingers underneath, and you know, it's doable. It's doable. So it's a matter of getting used to it. But if you don't like it, you can always remove it. Just one thing to note though, this design is designed to be very close to the body, so you are not able to use the original lanyard. In fact, it comes with 2 screws where you can use it to tighten it further. So on the left, as I said, there are a number of 1/4-inch screws. It actually has a provision here as well for additional handle on the left, and also has an option for a HDMI cable clamp. On the right is a more interesting design, a lot of gaps here, and it also grips around the handle. So for me, I would say this is a little thick, but it's still very comfortable that this portion is unobstructed. Okay, at the bottom it's similar to the R5. The battery compartment is unobstructed as well, and you still have the magnetic base tool, which is very useful, and quite a number of mounting points as well as the anti-rotation pin. Okay, so it's very secure to the body. Now let's do the mounting test. So first of all, I will mount the monitor. Now I have 3 options here, so I would probably mount the monitor to the top. Then let's say I mount something like a rod here, so it's actually quite perfect. It looks very nice and it's very slick. But if I want to mount a shotgun, here comes the problem. Where do I mount it? I've tried to switch this over, but I didn't manage to make it work, because even if I put this at the back, put this at the front, you will see that you have very little play. In fact, this is kind of stuck. It's usable, I won't say it's not. But the other problem is if I offset this a little, it's the same thing. I can't tilt the monitor, so this is one thing to take note of. You cannot tilt the monitor too much if you're mounting it this way. But, well, with this trade-off, you can now have 3 microphones. You have 2 microphones and monitor on all at the same time. So how awesome is that? Those of you who want a handle, what do? Well, if you want a handle, there is an optional handle, but you have to mount an adapter. So YC Onion comes with this little adapter that you can put it here on top, and then once this is mounted, you can permanently mount the included handle. So the challenge is when you mount that included handle, you cannot remove it as well for packing. So I hope that YC Onion come up with a NATO version, a NATO rail version of that same handle. Then I can remove this very quickly for packing. Alright, other than that, yeah, I guess you have to remember also that there are some more mounting points here, so you can also mount another additional cold shoe or even a magic arm if you really need to mount anything else. Other than that, I would say that this is quite suffice my use for most scenarios. Yeah, I hope that has been useful. Till the next time, bye bye.